Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's episode's a little different because we came out in the afternoon instead of doing the morning trip. We were able to squeeze in an afternoon trip after work. My wife let me come out before I actually had to work this weekend coming up for the KBF event at Chickamauga. So this episode I wanted to cover more about offshore structure and fish it. We started doing that. We did do some marks. We did find some offshore structure, but the fish still went deeper, but in a different way. So stay tuned and see how we caught them today. I know the spawn is done, and we are going to concentrate on offshore structure, like any brush pile, anything on offshore, which we need to actually get better at ourselves anyway. And we are fishing it right now with a Mag Fatty 7-inch worm Texas rig with a 3/8 ounce weight. And we're just going to drag it really slow along the bottom. Let's see how we can do offshore here today. We're going to give it about 3-4 hours. If we catch nothing offshore, we're going to go back to beating the banks. Hopefully those big fish, some big fish are on the banks, because right now on the banks has been nothing but small fish. We're using a really heavy weight because we want to get down there fast. So when I do my cast, I know I'm like in front of that brush pile. So that's why we're using such a heavy weight, and we're using a really big worm. You know, we're using that 7-inch Mag Fatties. I mean, you can even go up to 8, 9, 10-inch worm. But, you know, we're using on the medium heavy action rod, because when you feel that bite, just give them a chance to take that worm in their mouth and then just set that hook. You want to lay into it. You can even use a heavy action rod too as well. What we're going to do though is we're going to spend a little bit of time going around the lake here and setting some waypoints where we see some brush piles, and that's how we're going to find our underwater structure via our sonar here on our fish finder. So what I did now, I changed over to a deeper diving crankbait. I'm fishing about 5 to 7 feet of water. This goes 6 feet, and every now and then it's banging off the bottom and stirring up along the brush piles and stuff I have here. We've been at it now for about, I don't know, about half an hour of actual fishing after doing all of our marks, and nothing yet. On our drop shot setup, we're using a 3/8 ounce weight, and we are using the SMH worm from Z-Man on a 2/0 drop shot hook. We are now currently fishing in about 7.5, 8 feet of water. We got a bunch of trees down here, and we're going to run that through there and hopefully not get snagged up. And we just cast the drop shot out, let it hit the bottom, and we just slowly move it back to us. Sometimes we don't even move it because that worm is already doing, you know, like a wave in the water. And we just slowly just kind of twitch it back to our boat. Very slow moving process, but you'll feel that fish nibble, hit it really hard, give it a second, and then set the hook. All right guys, fish on. It's not what we're after. Nice one though. Look at the size of this guy. Felt the nibbling on it. It's a nice slab there. I think this is a giant bluegill, or they call it shell cracker down here. I'm not sure. Comment in the video. I think that's what they call these shell cracker. Let me know what this is. Nice fish though. Nice fish. So it may look like I'm fishing along the bank, which I kind of am, but I'm in 7.5 feet of water. So I'm just fishing off the bank, but in deeper structure. And I don't know if you can see on the thing there, but there's a bunch of brush pile. There is some marks down there, which is probably whatever that fish I just caught was. Which, like I said, I think they call it a shell cracker. They get pretty big. I think it's bigger than a bluegill, I'm pretty sure. Hey Suzanne, if you're watching from the upstate, you'll probably know better than me. Tell me what that is. Yeah, I've only been in South Carolina for about 3 years now, so I don't know every species of fish. Everybody has different names for everything, but what I'm doing is I'm fishing right off this little bit of secondary point here. As the wind's coming around the corner here, that's where I'm sitting in. And right now I'm in, 7.5 feet still. We got a couple other trees and stuff along this bank that are off the bank probably about 20 feet that we marked before, so we're just going to be fishing those two as well. But if you don't get any bass offshore, we'll definitely have to go back to our old school tactics. Beating the bank still. Alright guys, fish on. This time we have a bass. Not a bad size, guys. Not a bad size, but probably still about the same length as before. You know, like a 15, 16-inch fish. All right, guys, 15 and a half. About 7 feet of water just off the bank. That was about 30 feet off the bank or so. We were almost dead sticking that when we caught that. I felt a little bit of thump. I thought it was the weight, you know, hitting against one of the branches, but it was actually the fish taking it. They are definitely in the deeper water. Just hoping we can get a bigger one there. When I go around this lake in the middle area, like out in the open there a little bit more over that way, there's really not much structure. It's all pretty much along the edge. This lake used to be, I think, an old coal mine, so it's pretty much bare in the middle, and just anything that's structure is pretty much along the edges or close to the banks, or, you know, down trees or, you know, old brush before they fill this in. But pretty much in the middle of this lake, there is really nothing to hold fish. What's cool about this little cove here is at the ends, it's like 2-3 feet, but in the middle, it's about 8 feet. And there is, you know, a couple down logs here, and there's brush right in the middle. So that's why we came over this way. We found this before when we were doing some marks. So we're gonna fish right down the middle where it's 7 feet and bring this right back to us. Not sure what that was, but it bit right through my line. So it's probably a bowfin. Right through it, clean cut. I had to go put pressure on it and snapped right away. All right, guys, fish on. It's a nice sized bass. A little bit longer, I think. Maybe not. If I can get it in the net. Maybe a little bit longer. So he was right in the shade line. Got a leech on it. See that leech moving right there? It's small, but we got 16 1/4. All right, well, that one was caught right in the shade line here. It's still kind of deep anyway, because it really tapers off really fast, but he was still right on the bank though. But those big fish, I know they're in here. I've caught them before numerous times. I just can't find them, but we'll see what happens yet. We still have plenty of time left to the day. There's pockets of bait fish in this channel, and they keep popping at the surface too as well, so we're hoping we can get a bite on the crankbait. All right, guys, fish on. Doesn't feel big though. Not too big again. Man, what are you guys, all like brothers and sisters the same size or what? Same size again. It's right about the same. All right, guys, 15 1/4. So I went away from fishing a little deep right now. Like I was saying before, I just think that it's too hot. They're not holding deep, but they are still holding in the shade underneath trees and stuff. So that's what we're going to continue fishing for right now until things change up. You know, our offshore plan is just not working. I mean, we caught a couple, but it's just been very quiet offshore, so we're going to have to keep fishing the shade here and stuff. I just had a strike, and then it came off. But we got him now. Okay. Take a drag up. Alright, it's a little nicer. It's a fighter. He is a fighter. Got me in the bushes there. That I know. He is a fighter. Alright, it's a little nicer, finally. It's getting him, oh, he's hooked a little bit too deep there. But yeah, I was getting to the point thinking that all the gators ate all the big ones here. Alright, we got 18 on the board. It's a little nicer. 18. So obviously I'm in 7.5 feet of water. So they're deeper, but they're still holding tight to the bank. I think, like I was saying before, this body of water doesn't have much structure out in the middle of it. And most of the structure is by the edge, except for some of the flat areas. So they're deeper where the water's a little cooler. But they need something to hold on to for structure. And we are going to still try to fish the drop shot a little deeper and stuff yet today, but at this point we're just going to keep doing what works. Alright guys, fish on. Hanging around a tree branch. No, nothing big. Alright, it looks like about another probably 15-incher or whatever, if that. Let's see where you're at there, pal. Yeah, 15. Alright, 15 inches. We got our limit. 15. Get down to the deep. That fish had me tangled up in the branch. I thought it was a little bit bigger than what it was, but I decided to wrestle him out of the tree branch, which we got him. That was fish number 5. Most of my fish have been caught on this today, which is the Mag Fatty in the June bug color on a 5/0 hook. And we are still fishing and beating the banks. Gotta do what you gotta do, right? To be honest, I mean, I think soft plastics works the best anyway for fishing. I've always been fishing them so much. Between that and the crankbait, you know, and the lipless, it kind of covers the water. But most of the other time, if I look back at most of my videos, I'm fishing some sort of soft plastic. So obviously, you know, it gives you more of that natural look, and that's what, you know, the fish like anyway. It's just that you have to have that mentality of the fish slow. And I know a lot of people like to cover a lot of water, but you know, we've adapted through the years to learn how to fish slow and just take your time, because you will find them using soft plastics. You know, I wanted this video to be a little bit more about offshore structure, but you know, end up being really soft plastics is the way to fish, you know, because I think the fish see so many other fast moving baits that you know, that slower presentation I think tends to work better. You know, there's those times when the fish are just super active and you can kill them on the chatterbait, the crankbait, the lipless, the spinnerbait. But I feel like most of the time, you know, when it's cold, when it's super hot, I feel like I do better on soft plastics. And you know, that's why I did videos that, you know, the Texas rig is the way to go. You know, I got the video out there that if you had $25 to start fishing, you can get yourself a nice couple bags of soft plastics, some weights, and some hooks, and you can be fishing for, you know, a month on soft plastic, spending 25 bucks, you know. So it definitely, the longevity of the Z-Man baits is a really good value over any other soft plastics, because not unless you lose them, you can go through a ton of fish on the same soft plastics. That's when I did that video, $25, you know, gets you, you know, you can fish for a long time as long as you don't lose them. Soft plastics is the way to go. I feel like that's what I'm gonna be fishing most of the rest of my life, because that's all I feel like I'm catching them on lately, which is fine. You know, we like the soft plastics. Oh, he came off. So we had a fish swim right at us and he came off. You can see what he did to the worm. Just missed it again. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna follow up with a drop shot, because we're in about 8.5 feet of water. You can see the shade line and the deeper water is where the fish are definitely holding right now. They definitely went deeper. They're not in the shallows. Read my face. He took the worm is what he did. He took the worm as I whacked myself in the face. So it's 3 times that fish got me and I didn't catch him, and I want to downsize to the drop shot and he steals the worm. So now it's just the principle, whether it's big or small, I want that fish. All right guys, fish on. Got that right off the tree branch. Maybe a little longer. Maybe a little longer. Kind of a kayak bass there. We got a little bit longer of a fish. Yeah, I was going over tree branches, starting to reel in, and he grabbed it as I was reeling it, because I didn't want to get caught up on the branch, but that's where he was hiding. All right, guys. 16.5. So we're gonna run along one more bank here. It's still deep, and then we're gonna hit our little shallow area, flat area that usually hold fish with soft plastics. You know, we'll probably just stick with the Texas rig worm the rest of the day. That's what I've been pretty much catching my fish on, so there's no reason to change. All right guys, fish on. Or maybe not. He had it in his mouth. Once again, I'm in the shade line, as you see. I'm actually going in reverse because I really want to try to get that last fish I just missed. There, he's nibbling again. Let's see. Must be something small, guys. Maybe. Well, you can see it was in his mouth. See the scale there? I brushed him. So probably not too big. All right, that fish is too small to play with. We're gonna move on. I refuse to tie in the Cinco. I have it tied up, but I'm not using it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. It didn't go as planned with, you know, showing you the offshore stuff. We did catch a few offshore. You know, I did went around and mark all of my structure that I found offshore, but just fish were not holding on it. I guess it was just too sparse, too far in between. And you can see all my fish were caught on soft plastics in the shade line, but in deeper water. So they definitely have moved to deeper water after the spawn for sure. So, you know, anywhere you're at in your body of water, if you have a lot of offshore structure, you should be able to fish offshore and get them, because they're definitely going to be around. If not, if you're on a body of water like I was today, where the structure is more on the shoreline, but still in the shade line, and the fish were still deeper than shallow water for sure. Just find your, you know, fish your body of water and find the best way for you to catch that fish on that body of water. Stay tuned and you'll see, you know, what's coming up in the next few months. But as always, guys, I appreciate every one of you. Be safe on the water, and I'll catch you on the water. Thanks for watching.